something under the sun, if God's not a part of it, it doesn't make sense. But when the light of God begins to shine on something, it takes on a whole new meaning. I want to read verse 14 over again. The righteous who get what the wicked deserve, and the wicked who get what the righteous deserve, this too I say is meaningless. I know a righteous man. I saw this play out. I know a righteous man. I know a righteous man who is the greatest friend who ever lived. He had 12 friends. He loved them. He poured into them. And on the last night, when he asked them to do one thing for them, to watch and pray, they abandoned him at his darkest hour. I know a righteous man who was the greatest preacher who ever lived. His sermons, so dripping with meaning that they were written down, and for 2,000 years people have read those sermons, and they have impacted and changed their lives. And to those crowds that this righteous man preached to, they rejected him, and they said, "Crucify him, crucify him." I know a righteous man who was the greatest minister who ever lived. He raised the dead, he healed the sick, he gave sight to the blind, he reached out to the marginalized, and they stuck a crown of thorns on his head. They beat him, and they made him walk to the top of a hill where they would kill him. I know a righteous man who was nailed to a cross by ungodly men who didn't care about him. They stripped him naked and they stood him up so people could spectate as he slowly died. And that righteous man said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." I know a righteous man who, while he was hanging on the cross, had the entire weight of all the sin of everything that anyone had ever done laid on his shoulders, and he took it all for the sake of the wicked, so they could receive what the righteous deserve.
Come on, Dan.
And I know a wicked man. You better get excited about that.
Yeah.
I know a wicked man who lived a horrible life, who remembered that one of the first things he ever did was lie. One of his first memories is a lie he told, who made mistake after mistake, who hung out with a round crowd because he wanted to be accepted. I know a wicked man who has made so many mistakes, and he's thought so many bad thoughts he would be embarrassed for you to know him. And he said, "God, would you forgive me?" And he got forgiveness, and he got grace.